Hey, what is up, everyone? This is Ete with another episode of Eco Lawn Science. Today's content and the discussion will be based on a question that we just got from a potential client. So someone who's not a current client of my service company, but they've been looking in and they had questions. And that's some of my favorite ways to get these topics, because I'm trying to make something helpful for everyone. So the question was, they were asking really about mowing and about mulching and what kind of mower do I get and how often should I mow and how high should I mow and all these things. And I know this is like a basic topic, but there's some science to it. And also, as basic as it is, lawn mowing, it's often done wrong in a lot of ways, and you see it all the time. And so hopefully today we'll dig into a little bit of that and talk about, what are some of the ideal practices for having a healthy lawn. So as you know, mowing is a crucial part of having a great lawn and a great lawn care and health. And in my episode Expectations, I talk about the triangle. There's 3 corners that all work together. The first one is mowing. The second one is feeding and fertilization. The third one is irrigation. The 3 main components. And so today we'll talk a little bit about, and so I do talk about this in that as well, but this one is specifically for the mowing side. When you come to mowing, you see every guy or girl when they're 12 or 13 or 14, it's always one of the first jobs you have is you go out, you mow the grass, and then your neighbor says, "Hey, come mow mine. I'll give you $25," and you do that one. And next thing you know, you're mowing 4 lawns a week. And a lot of people have that story, and some follow it and they build out huge businesses, and some it's just a good little summer job to make a few bucks to go have some fun in the summer. So again, it's kind of a basic thing. It's kind of something that everyone does, but we don't ever talk about it. And when you Google it, there's so many different opinions and thoughts on mowing. I mean, it's obviously an entire huge industry. Billions of dollar industry in America, everything from, high-tech robots down to, young kids, teenagers out to make a buck and everything in between. And so let's talk about a little bit about some good and some bad practices. So the first thing I really want to push on is the length. I think one of the key ingredients to having that healthy lawn is truly the length. Often people mow very, very short, like golf course short, like a putting green. And the problem is that works, in putting greens, they use a specific type of grass, and they have an insane amount of maintenance and a full staff maintaining it. Because to have that short grass, there's you have to maintain it a whole different way. And so that doesn't usually work in a homeowner situation. And what can often happen is what they call scalping. So let's say you're mowing, and maybe there's a little bit of a drop off or a little bit of a slope somewhere. And so because of the unevenness of the ground and how low you have your blade set, you can literally hit an area where you almost hit the dirt, and you just really scalp it and you just damage it. And you'll know, because that area will be yellowish for a bit. It'll be stressed, because when you scalp that lawn, you're causing a lot of stress and it's really negative effects long term on the grass. It can grow back, and it usually does, but you pay a price for it. And so a lot of people like to mow very low, and either the way it looks or just then I don't have to mow it again. But the truth is, the higher the grass, and I don't mean a foot long, but when you get to that 3.5 inch mark, there's a lot of benefits of it. And so I recommend going there. I recommend, anywhere from 3 to 4 inches, 4 being on the high side, 3.5 is awesome. I mean, first of all, I love the way it looks. You get to see more of the grass. It's a little more of a natural feel, but it's not so tall that it's like bending over and it looks unkept. You can maintain a 3.5 inch lawn that looks good, but you have to maintain it. Some of the benefits of having that 3.5 plus inch lawn are these. It helps with, believe it or not, it helps with weed reduction. It helps with crabgrass reduction. It helps with less insect issues. And the reason for those are, when you have taller grass, like 3.5 inches, it actually provides a little bit of shade for the soil. And below the soil in the seed bank is where weed seeds are sitting, waiting for that perfect opportunity to emerge and to come up. And and a lot of what inspires that is heat. And a lot of heat below the surface, a lot of soil temperature. The hotter it gets, that's when your crabgrasses start to really want to germinate. And these seeds just go, all right, it's go time. They're just getting excited. And so when you have that grass, it actually provides a little bit of shade for the soil, therefore cooling it down just a little bit. And in some cases, it makes a difference between a ton of weeds and just a little bit. So that's one benefit. And so that's for weeds and crabgrass. So another thing is for insects, because when you allow your grass to grow up a little taller, it can actually flourish a little bit, and it's going to have a healthier root mass below. And so when you have that healthier root mass, you're going to have less insect fungal issues because there's going to be more biodiversity in the soil. There's going to be more living organisms and things working well. So when those negative or damaging insects or fungi come in, you have the beneficials to offset it. So just right there, those are some great reasons. You'll obviously save in costs, and you'll save in environmental impact because you won't have to use that Grub X, or you may not have to use it as much, right? Or you may not have to use as much weed control. So just a lot of great reasons. And again, one of the ones that I've kind of mentioned is just that shade that it provides. And so as you get into those hot drought seasons, July, August, and it's just hot and dry, and soil temperatures are really starting to pay a price and warm up, which can often leads to browning out in drought spots. That higher grass can again shade it and help to cool it down, cool down the temperatures of your soil. So good benefits there. So one of the best recommendations that I like that I've seen is they call it the 1/3 rule. That means basically don't ever mow off over a third at a time, because if you're mowing consistently and regularly and just a little bit at a time, you can actually let that drop back into the soil and recycle, and you're utilizing already existing fertilizer, natural nutrients that are in that grass. But if let's say you have a 4-inch lawn and you say, I'm going to cut it down to 2. Well, that's 2 inches. You can't do that, because if you were to cut 2 inches and leave it there and not bag it, actually that's too much. That'll turn into thatch and build up, and it'll be too much grass, and that will become a problem. It'll be a breeding ground for insects as opposed to a beneficial fertilizer or a help assistant to what's happening. So you want to cut regularly and about 1/3. You don't want to cut off more than a third. Sometimes you have to. You go away for 2 weeks, you come back, and it's a disaster. Okay, you grew 2 inches, you're cutting off 3 inches. You're going to want to bag it at that point. But again, you're losing all those valuable nutrients. So the best thing is to mow often, frequently, and do the 1/3 rule. So cut off a third of the blade at the time and just let it keep growing. Another thought on that is if you picture your grass, picture a 4-inch tall blade, and sometimes in the summer you're looking at it and the tops are green and lush, and then you look, but you can see below it's a little yellowish. What's happening is that top is the greenest part, and all the energy is going up there. And so when you cut that off in thirds, you're actually helping to get rid of the yellow, because what's going to help is some of that. It's going to allow to use some of that energy and that storage down to the lower part of that blade, the first inch and a half, and start greening that up as well. Where like if you use a nitrogen fertilizer, it's really going to go to that top part, and so you can actually really help the color and the overall balance of your lawn by doing that. One of the biggest things, make sure your blades are sharp. People don't pay attention to this. They change their blades every 3 years. You're going to start ripping ripping the tops of the grass blades, and you'll see it. If you look closely, pull some grass out, you'll see how jagged and rough it looks, and that can cause issues and stress as well. I mean, picture going to get a haircut, and they're using just scissors that are like 5 years old, and instead of just a nice clean cut and it dropping off, it's jagging and it's pulling, it's ripping your hair, right? It doesn't feel good. And that's kind of what's happening to your grass, the soil. You're disrupting it. Keep your blades sharp. The last important thing is keep the blades clean. People do not clean their blades often. What happens is, let's say you run over a pathogen or some type of fungus, and you go to your neighbors and you're cutting your neighbors, or let's say it's in your front yard, and then you go to backyard, and then a month later you see spots everywhere. Well, a lot of times these can attach themselves to your blades. Think about it. Think under the mower for a second. It goes over, it cuts the grass and it spins around up top and kind of hits some things, and then it shoots out. And in that, you could be spreading those spores. You could be spreading fungus to other parts of your lawn. So just make sure that you regularly are cleaning them, and so that you don't spread anything that's bad, especially if you see something that looks like maybe a fungal issue in the front yard. Don't spread that to the back. So anyway, those are just a few basic tips. Oh, the last one is on mulching, and I kind of already have said it, but that was the initial question, is make sure when you mulch to have sharp blades. And make sure, get a mower that there's different types of mowers. Get one that really, if you're going to mulch and recycle, get one that can really mulch well. Find the one with the best ability to mulch. And again, if you do this and you follow the 1/3 rule, you shouldn't run into too many problems further down the line. If you're cutting off 2 inches at a time and you're leaving it and it's going to fall on the soil, it's going to create an issue. So if you're going to not bag, you have to cut regularly, and that's going to mean something different for everyone. Sometimes, like in Utah, I go, that's actually every 4 days. Because if I go a week in the spring, because of the rain in the spring, my grass is like 2 inches taller. I mean, it gets way high. So you're going to have to cut every 4 days. But again, the advantages are you're recycling nutrients, and so you're saving time and work and even money as far as the bagging and your time. But you are out there more often. So it's whatever you want to do. But yeah, if you are going to mulch, just do it right. And the same thing goes for leaf mulching. I've talked about this in episode 4. If you're saying, I want to utilize the nutrients in these leaves, you better have a great mower that can really grind things up and shoot it out, but don't let it shoot out too thick of a layer or it will suffocate and kill off the roots of the grass. A little bit at a time is awesome. And that's why I like the robot mowers, what they're doing, because they're cutting every day. They're always running around the property, cut a tiny bit at a time so that can easily be recycled without causing future thatch buildup, future insect problems, etc. Anyway, hope this helps. Have a great day. See ya.